This podcast is not intended to provide any investment advice. The opinions expressed here by either the hosts or guests do not necessarily reflect the views of PSA, Collectors Holdings, or any of their affiliates. Any discussion of collectible values in the past or present is not a guarantee of future performance.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the PSA Pod. Ryan Greene, Jack Archer, Chris McGill, producer Drew. We're back for the Core Score episode. And as we now know, the Core Score episode has to start with the hit draft, Jack.
It's a battle royale today, gentlemen. We have Joe Burrow on one side. We have Justin Herbert on the other side. We're going to kick things off with this hit draft, and then we're going to evaluate each based on the Core Score algorithm.
Collectability over replacement. This is the first time we've evaluated two players at once, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they stack up. But as we mentioned, we got to get the hit draft and get the cards in first.
Real quick on the rules. Chris is going first. I'm going second. You're going third. Obviously, it's going to be a snake draft. And producer Drew grabbed 6 recent sales from Golden Auctions, some much better than others, randomized it, and these are the cards that are in this like magical, I'm imagining like a flawless-esque briefcase, these pre-graded PSA gems of Burrow and Herbert, 3 apiece. Why don't you start reading them off, Ryan?
All right, so first we have a 2020 Panini Flawless dual diamond memorabilia brand logos. This is a dual Nike patch, numbered 2 of 2 of Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa.
PSA 8.
PSA 8. Then we have a PSA 10 2020 Panini Prism Color Blast rookie card of Joe Burrow. One of my favorite case hit inserts around. I just think they're amazing looking cards. We have a 2020 Panini Mosaic rookie autographs Fusion Red Choice sticker auto of Joe Burrow in a PSA 9. Then we move on. We got a 2020 Flawless Signature Gloves Platinum Justin Herbert signed patch rookie card, 1 of 1.
Got that double PSA 10. PSA 10, auto 10.
The grade is beautiful on that one. We've got a 2020 Contenders rookie clear ticket auto Mosaic super short print of Justin Herbert, 1 of 1. The card is authentic. The auto grade is 10.
It's completely acetate. This card's a very, very tough grade. So whoever pulled it originally and graded it decided to go with authentic instead of a number grade. Some people like that. Some people don't.
Unpopular opinion. I like it. Finally, we have a 2020 Chronicles Crown Royale Silhouette Memorabilia Autographs brand logo Justin Herbert signed patch rookie card numbered 1 of 2. The middle portion of a nice Nike patch in there. PSA Gem Mint 10. No auto grade on this one. It's a sticker auto. We're going to share the links to these cards in the description below so you can take a look at them as well. Let's get it started. Chris, you got the first pick, and you put it so eloquently when we were preparing here. You really only have to make one choice here.
That's right. And I'm so glad I get to go first because I'm not picking the most valuable card of these 6, which would be a totally fine strategy. And I do like and dislike something about all these cards. It was a nicely curated list. I think that if that Crown Royale had an on-card autograph, that would be my choice probably. I think that is just a beautiful card. But I, being the child of the 90s that I am, being the insert lover that I have been molded into by many years of collecting 90s and Michael Jordan.
Don't say
going
No.
with the case hit, with the color blast.
What?
No.
PSA 10. I'm taking that one. It's not the first year of color blast, unfortunately, but it is from Prism, and I am a Prism simp. It's a beautiful card as well. It's a rookie Joe Burrow. PSA 10 is tough to get on the color blast, or at least it was for some of the years. I'm taking the Joey Cigars color blast, PSA 10.
Dude, for the last 5 minutes, I've been sitting here just thinking to myself, all right, at least I'll be able to take that Joe Burrow color blast at number 3.
You want to know something crazy? I collect Justin Herbert. I'm a Chargers fan. I was planning to take the Joe Burrow color blast. That's how much I love this card, and I love that insert.
Which means the one that I thought you were going to take at number 2, you weren't going to take at number 2, but now you probably will. I'm curious to see if I'm right here.
So this one is a tough choice at number 2. I have it narrowed down to a pair of cards. One is the 2020 Panini Flawless Signature Gloves Platinum 1 of 1. It's got that PSA 10, Auto 10. I love the dual grade double 10. Very symmetrical, very clean. It shouldn't act as much of a premium as it does for me, but it really, really looks fantastic. And it just feels nice knowing that the auto is graded 10, the card is graded 10. It's a 1 of 1. It's an on-card auto. It's a beautiful, high-end, incredible product and flawless, but it's got one problem. The patch is a glove. My man doesn't wear gloves. It just kind of throws me off a little bit. It's a great card. So I'm choosing the Panini Contenders Acetate Clear Mosaic on-card auto, iconic football product, the kind of card that you just never, ever see come up. I'm not sure what the pop is. It's got to be incredibly low. I know it's a super short print. It's got the 10 auto still. It looks great in a PSA slab, and it's just so unexpected and frankly just cool. So that's my choice. The 2020 Panini Contenders Rookie Clear Ticket Autograph for Justin Herbert. Super short print, authentic, and PSA Auto 10.
Never voluntarily taking the third pick again. Well, so I guess my strategy changes here at number 3. Because if I'm picking a card that I want to have like in my collection for a long time, right? Those first 2 cards you guys picked are those 2. So my strategy now changes. Now I'm thinking of this of what card can I pick that down the road the value is going to really hold nicely and I could potentially turn it into something else for my PC. So I've got the back-to-back picks here. Even though the glove thing irks me just as much as it irks you, Jack, I've got to take it. It's a 1 of 1 from Flawless, a dual grade 10/10. I feel with the beautiful on-card autograph, I feel very confident that the value of that card is going to hold. I can take the OCD part of him not wearing gloves and shove it to the far back reaches of my mind for a while and just hold that card for a while. That's a really nice Justin Herbert piece. So going to take that one. Maybe a little bit of a surprise here, but I'm going to take the dual patch of Burrow and Tua. I want to diversify here. And with this, I'm now taking 2 cards, both incredibly rare, very appealing to the eye, that feature the top 3 quarterbacks from the 2020 class. So I feel like I diversified nicely. Those are the 2 I'm taking.
Good choices, smart moves. That leaves 2 cards left for Chris and I. The 2020 Panini Chronicles Crown Royale Silhouette, Justin Herbert Sticker Auto, PSA 10. And then we got the PSA 9 Burrow Mosaic Fusion Red Choice.
Don't think too hard, Jack.
I will be going with the Nike Batch Herbert. It's a beautiful card, as Chris said. I wish it was on card. The sticker, I just can't. I would almost like the card more if you just like gently rip the sticker off and didn't cause surface damage. And it was just like the Nike patch with the Herbert silhouette and everything. But it's a really beautiful card. I dig it. I'm happy with this where I am. And then that leaves you, Chris, for choice number 6.
Well, the choice has been made for me. It's the 2020 Mosaic Fusion Red Choice Joey Cigars. Not numbered, but if I squint, it looks like a color match a bit, even though it's not. It's a nice card. It's a Joe Burrow rookie autograph from Mosaic. It is a sticker signature, but man, I would take it in my collection any day. So bring it on.
Shout out Optic Football and Optic Basketball for those on-card autos. Mm-hmm. Very popular, big product. Just nice to see those like consistently year after year. And because, collectors, they put a really big premium on that. And it's just nice that like a big mainstream flashy product is still holding on to that when Prism and Mosaic and Chronicles and all those sort of like mid to high range sets are just rolling with these stickers.
Mm-hmm. Well, cards have been picked. Now we're going to get into talking about the collectability of these 2 quarterbacks from the 2020 class, Joe Burrow, the number 1 pick, and Justin Herbert. So we're going to take a quick break, enjoy our cards, check them out for a little bit longer, and we'll be right back to jump into the core score for both Burrow and Herbert.
Hey, Steve here from the PSA Pod. I don't know about you, but for me, the hobby is my escape from the real world. I want my collecting experience to be fun, simple, and easy. But when it comes to selling cards, whether to get rid of dupes or to free up cash for a new purchase, there are just a lot of hoops to jump through. I've got to take the perfect photo of the card, create the listing, wait for payment, package up the shipment, go to the post office, and then pray that the card doesn't get lost. Add it all up and it's just not how I want to be spending my time. That's why it's exciting for me that the official vault of PSA will soon be connected to the new Golden Buy Now marketplace. With this completely connected platform, all the headaches of selling cards are solved. So I'm vaulting my PSA submissions now to be ready to jump on trending athletes and get cash fast for my cards, all with a single click. And did I mention that the new Golden Buy Now marketplace is for all types of cards and values, not just premium cards? It's truly a marketplace for collectors by collectors. So try the Collector's Vault in your next PSA submission to be ready for when the Golden Buy Now marketplace connects to the official vault of PSA. Visit collectors.com/vault for more information.
All right, so we got our cards. We can flex those away for years to come. Now we talk about the collectability, the core score. Who is maybe making a little bit more sense, in our opinion, to collect long term? We got Jack's guy, Justin Herbert. We got Joe Burrow, arguably the coolest quarterback in the NFL today. Let's get started, fellas. Once again, we have 11 categories here. Some, we'll dive into a little bit deeper than others, but we're going to start with what matters most, and that's winning. So on the winning side, on our scale of -10 all the way up to +10, we have given Joe Burrow a 4, Justin Herbert at a -2.
I mean, Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl. That says a lot. The Bengals are surging right now. Chargers are not. And yeah, I mean, Burrow kind of has that winning gene, and I feel like Herbert has it too, but there's a lot of outside circumstances that are preventing him from shining to where a lot of collectors believe his ability can go.
To Jack's point, I think Jack was talking about this in the production meeting maybe or before the show. 3-0 versus Patrick Mahomes. Nobody can claim that except for Joe Burrow. Now, part of that credit has to go to the defensive coordinator. Does a great job, but the winning gene does seem to be there with the grown-up Macaulay Culkin look-alike.
And he's just ice cold too when he's winning, and especially against Mahomes. There's just something. He's just like an assassin when he's playing the Chiefs. I enjoy seeing it. It's fun to watch.
If anything, with Burrow, I think if I remember correctly, I was advocating to score him even a little higher, but I'm good with this score. I think that not only the Super Bowl in his second year and that run they went on, the fact that they looked like they were going to have that Super Bowl hangover early this season, and then they overcame it, and then he beat Mahomes again for the third time in a calendar year. Like, that is pretty crazy trajectory. But again, this is based on what they've done so far. I think the 4 is pretty accurate. I do worry with Herbert. I hope I'm wrong. Like, talent-wise, it's all there, but you just worry, is it going to be the same thing as with Phillip Rivers, where he was arguably talent-wise and production-wise the best quarterback from that class, but organizationally, they just never got over the hump. I think it's too early in Herbert's career to put that on him. I just hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare Justin Herbert to Phillip Rivers. The only thing they have in common is the jersey they wear. I mean,
that's very fair.
Yeah, just his arm strength and his poise and some of the stuff that he's doing just from a pure talent perspective is something that doesn't come around very often. So here's to hoping a lot of the right pieces around him just fall into place perfectly.
Yeah, and in fairness to Justin Herbert, he has 21 career wins, career record 21-23. Burrow has 20 career regular season record of 20-17-1. So the gulf maybe isn't as big as it seems, at least not to date in career win percentage.
Next, we go into the market. One plays in Cincinnati. One plays under the bright lights of Los Angeles. Now, just for some comparison's sake, the two quarterbacks we've done this for previously, Patrick Mahomes had a neutral 0 on market score. Josh Allen playing in a feverish Buffalo with, for that fan base and in that market, and the importance of the Bills to that market, got a 7. So we have Justin Herbert coming in at a -4, Joe Burrow at a -2. What do we think here?
So for context, Joe Burrow -2. If you look at apparel and fan gear sales for all NFL teams, Cincinnati is a bottom 5 team. They're in the same class as the Bucks, the Jaguars. So that's just something to consider when you think of like total, like homegrown market collectability. The Cincinnati Bengals fans in total is probably significantly smaller than the majority of NFL teams. With Herbert, we're a little more harsh, and that was for some of the intangibles. Obviously, Los Angeles is a huge market, but Chargers are new there. They're still kind of finding their feet, finding their fan base. The previous fan base from San Diego, some traveled and some completely written them off just out of frustration. On top of that, the Chargers kind of had this weird, potentially cursed feel that a lot of NFL fans and hobbyists are weary of. And I truly think there is something there. It's like, well, he plays for the Chargers. And if he played for like the Seahawks or the Raiders or any other random team in the NFL, I think some of that like hype mojo would be even higher for Herbert. I truly think, even I'm speaking as a Chargers fan, even as a Chargers fan, for the local team, they practice like 5 miles from this office. If he was in any other team, I think his collectability and his market would be higher than it is right now.
Yeah, it's really tough at first blush to reconcile a Los Angeles team receiving a market score of -4 because we think about some of the great Los Angeles teams like the Los Angeles Lakers. But for here, I think the right frame of reference is the Los Angeles Clippers, or even worse, where we have a franchise that just is in the shadow of other legacies. It's even been remarked before that USC football, when USC football is doing well, garners much more of the affection of Los Angeles than either of its two pro football teams currently do. I could see this market factor changing. I could see the Chargers becoming more beloved in Los Angeles eventually. But I don't know. It seems like a big mountain to climb. And the Rams, even after winning the Super Bowl last year, don't seem to have made too many inroads to fan loyalty in LA. So it's a tough score. It's a really tough score for an LA franchise, but warranted.
You know, I think you could honestly argue, fan-wise, the Rams and Chargers both call Los Angeles home, and I think you could argue that they're the second and third most popular NFL teams in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Raiders are still number one.
Yep.
And each time they've played here since SoFi opened, it's kind of backed that up. So, no, that's a very good point with the Clippers comparison. All right, this is always a fun one. The cool factor. I mean, we'll start with Joe Burrow. Scored him a 5. Herbert, your boy, scored a 2. Thoughts here?
So I think a lot of people are thinking Burrow's going to score pretty high here, and he did score high. But I just want to remind everybody that there's a fine line between cool and cringy. And depending on how you play and how you age, Burrow's walking that line at sometimes. And right now it comes off as cool, but there's a chance that it can go the entirely other way. Herbert, on the other hand, is cool in a completely different way. He's not flashy. He's not wearing, specific suits to the walk-in tunnel or anything like that. Yeah, he's just got the fur. That's what I was thinking of. I was like, what did he wear? Like a silver, like speckled suit or something? It was something outrageous. But he's got the flow. He's got the California vibe going for him. But he's got this like really quiet confidence I think translates to a lot of people. To me, that is just incredibly cool. And he just has this presence to him that's just very likable. You read profiles on him, he feels like a very like regular person, but not in like a lame way, in like a honest way, if that makes sense.
Jack knows how to thread the needle when discussing the cool factor much better than I, but I will contribute one thing here. I will say that the cool factor for Joe Burrow went up for me in his rookie season when he shattered his knee in a game because the offensive line was constantly collapsing, and they finally reaped what they sowed, knocked him out for the season. It must have been excruciating pain. It must have been just and devastating just thinking about an already poor rookie season just having the worst ending imaginable. But Burrow was cool as a cucumber when he was being carted off of that field. Stoic look on his face. If he felt pain, you would never have known it. His team surely took confidence and inspiration from that. For that reason, Burrow's cool factor is pretty darn high for me, not to mention the iconic cigar poses and so on and so forth.
I do totally agree with what Jack's saying. Like with the sunglasses and the fur and some of the outfits, he's getting towards that age where can he really pull it off much longer? Does he have to evolve?
Just ask Kyle Kuzma with that giant pink sweater. You can visualize it now. Just one wrong choice can end dramatic cool factor. Herbert's not going to try to pull that off. Burrow might.
All right, next up, we got highlights Talent Mojo. This is an interesting one, the way we scored it. We've got Joe Burrow at a 6 and Justin Herbert at a 9. And originally this was just highlights, and we added the Talent Mojo qualifier. And this is where I think you really see the separation, Jack, and what puts Herbert above Burrow in this one.
I mean, Justin Herbert's the real deal. In my opinion, he's got the best arm of any quarterback I've seen since Aaron Rodgers. He is just phenomenal to watch. And Burrow is fantastic, and he's so good. And some of the weapons he has around him, he's an incredible talent too. But where Herbert can go and some of the throws that he makes, and when he's marching down the field and just firing on all cylinders, it's a joy to watch, and it's a true showcase of highlight ability, which is a new word I made up on the spot, and talent mojo. Burrow's the real deal too, but I truly think that Herbert is significantly more talented than Burrow. And I also know that he's quite a bit younger, so he's got a little bit more room to grow until he hits his prime.
So this is the area of the core score where stat nerd like me is going to smuggle in some statistics, because this is where I have to do it, and so I'm going to do it. So here's some nice stuff about Justin Herbert, bearing in mind that he missed a game or two during his rookie season when Tyrod Taylor was still the starting quarterback. Joe Burrow holds the record for most passing touchdowns by a rookie QB, 31. The most total touchdowns by a rookie QB, 36, which, really think about that. A rookie quarterback scoring 36 touchdowns, that's insane. He holds the record for the most 300-yard passing games by a rookie quarterback. He had 8, and the most completions by a rookie quarterback in a season, 396. But not to be outdone, well, he was outdone, but coming close is Joe Burrow, who doesn't quite have the NFL rookie year records, in part because he got knocked out during his rookie season. But can you believe that in the storied franchise of the Cincinnati Bengals, which I say partially tongue-in-cheek, Joe Burrow holds the franchise records for passer rating, completion percentage, and single-game passing yards. And after that run in the playoffs last year, he's tied with Boomer Esiason for the most playoff wins in franchise history. This guy's already going to get a statue outside of whatever the Cincinnati Bengals stadium is called. That's how impressive he's been in his first 3 years. So both of these guys.
Wait, Chris, I have to stop you. We are comparing how impressive someone is against Andy Dalton now. Come on.
Hey, the Red Rifle is having something of a renaissance this year. So, I'm glad we scored high on both of these guys. I do agree that Herbert's natural physical talent pushes him over the top, and all those accolades do tip in Herbert's favor, especially all those rookie records that he set. But I'm glad we gave both these guys high scores, because they both deserve them.
Yeah, I think we're all old enough on this show to remember how just bad the Bengals franchise was for so long. So he's not necessarily on, like, the Mount Rushmore in Cincinnati is not all that impressive.
It's not like he's doing it for the Patriots or something.
No, exactly.
Like that, right?
Exactly. All right, now we move on to fan loyalty. We scored Justin Herbert a 3, Joe Burrow a 6. I think maybe more than any category we scored, I felt like this was just spot on.
I mean, hardcore Cincinnati Bengals fans, like, Burrow's pretty much the ride or die at this point. Perhaps that was too low at 6. With Herbert, it kind of just goes back to Chargers fans. Yeah. That when you go to a Chargers game, there's so many out-of-towners that just kind of fill up SoFi. But hardcore Chargers fans will die for Justin Herbert. And not only that, hobbyists and collectors will die for Justin Herbert. More than any other athlete, if you meet other Justin Herbert collectors, the emotion that he brings out of them is crazy. And I find it hard to believe that there's a lot of Herbert collectors that would just kind of sell off a lot of their stuff anytime soon. But I do feel like just having conversations, trying to make trades, being at shows, just being in the hobby, that people are a little more happy to kind of get rid of their Burrow stuff.
Yeah.
And the Herbert stuff's always priced a little bit too out of reach. They're a little less interested in making trades. Only like a supersized cash offer will move something big. Whereas Burrow, they're a lot more flexible. So if we're including like hobbyist collector fan loyalty, I think Herbert definitely gets some juice.
Love the point about collector loyalty for Herbert. It is true. We see it play out on a number of levels, but perhaps the most obvious one is the high end where Herbert has recorded multiple seven-figure sales. There's something that definitely evokes the irrational in the collector to want to go all out for collecting this guy's cards. On fan loyalty front for Burrow, I'll just say this. Burrow got all the kids in the public schools in Cincinnati a day off of school because they made it to the Super Bowl. If that doesn't breed fan loyalty, I don't know what does.
All right, really quick, just a couple. We're going to glance over a couple that we don't need to dive into. We scored them the same position. We pretty much score every frontline quarterback the same, 10. It is the frontline position in football, not just on the field, but with collectors. Quarterback is what matters. So that one's kind of a no-brainer. We have their reputation. We scored them both at around a 6, or at a 6. I shouldn't say around. So they're even there. Now I want to talk about a couple categories where we also have them even, or a category where we also have them even, but I think at least gets a little bit more discussion, and that's career arc. We scored each guy an 8. They're late in their third season. Both have already shown they belong at this level. They can win at this level. Maybe Burrow, like we said, on the winning front, has done it a little more, but in terms of career arc, we believe in them the same.
So we have both scored as an 8. And, naturally you would think, oh, Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl last year. He should be higher than Herbert. But here's where it balances out. Joe Burrow's older than Deshaun Watson. Some people don't realize this. He's older than Deshaun Watson. Herbert's 2 years younger. So Herbert has 2 more years to get to where Joe Burrow is, really. He's really 2 years behind. Even though they both came up in 2020, even if this is their third year for both players, he's 2 years younger. He's got more room to grow. That balances out the early success that Burrow has had in the playoffs.
Great points. The only thing I'll add is that we have been spoiled by a very talented crop of young quarterbacks over the last 5 years or so. These guys are deserving of high scores on career arc because this level of talent is exceedingly rare from both of these guys. These guys both have the potential to be the best player on a championship team in the NFL. They deserve high scores.
Yeah, and to go back to Jack's point, the age does matter. People forget that Joe Burrow, for as successful as he was in college at LSU, winning a national championship his last year there, he did spend time at Ohio State before then, and he transferred from Ohio State to LSU before transfers could play immediately. He had to sit out a year, so that kind of slows down your timeline. So yeah, I think that definitely plays in. He has maybe a little bit more impressive young talent around him at the skill positions, but Justin Herbert has a little bit more runway physically in terms of, I guess you could just say, his clock than Joe Burrow does. So all in all, they balance out pretty even, both at 8s. This is always a fun one. Celebrity. We've got Justin Herbert at the absolute neutral spot of 0. And we have Joe Burrow at a 3. Explain.
I mean, Joe Burrow, he had the headlines with that playoff run last year. It caught a lot of attention. He's got a personality that sort of resonates in the celebrity community. And I think more people probably know who Joe Burrow is than Justin Herbert. And that is most likely how Justin Herbert wants it to be. The guy runs away from the camera. He's incredibly shy. He doesn't like the spotlight in this specific kind of way. So I think they're just on sheer talent. I think his celebrity is going to grow, but he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's going to want to be doing a cameo and a big summer blockbuster or anything like that. Joe Burrow has a lot of room to grow in this category too. He's 3 right now, but if you told me in 2 years that he's a 6 or a 7, that wouldn't surprise me at all. If you told me that Herbert was a -2, that also wouldn't surprise me at all.
Burrow also, not to confuse on the field accomplishments with celebrity off the field, but Burrow's pedigree as a college football national champion and as a Heisman Trophy award winner, that does etch a celebrity factor, a pedigree factor onto an athlete that translates into their celebrity. It translates into the aura with which they are discussed. Those college football fanatics out there, that stuff means a lot to them. Burrow belongs in rarefied air holding those awards. And I think that's part of the celebrity of Joe Burrow is those accomplishments and then the moments that accompanied them. I always thought that Joe Burrow's post-game interview after the national championship was very poised, very stoic, very, Burrow always has this sort of unimpressed vibe about him that I think translates well to winning at the highest level in professional sports. So I do agree here. Burrow should get some positive points in the celebrity factor, partially because of the legacy that he's etched for himself already at a young age.
Great points, Chris. Yeah, maybe 3 was even a little bit too low. Maybe he's more deserving of a 4 or 5.
All right, we got 2 left. We're going to start with injury risk. Justin Herbert, we've got scored at a 4. Joe Burrow, dead neutral at a 0. Both guys have had some injury issues early in their career, one more serious than the other. Let's start with Burrow. He had the knee injury his rookie year, but I'll tell you what, 2 years later, unless you're just like a hardcore NFL follower, you don't even think about that anymore, the way he came back from that.
Yeah, 0%. But it did happen.
Yep.
So we are keeping that into account. With Herbert, he's been pretty durable so far, knock on wood. And if you've watched any Chargers games this year, you know that their line is a complete mess. And he's just getting clobbered over and over again. He's got like a rib that's like out of place. He has to get like injection shots to deal with the pain because he's just getting smacked around so much. It is impressive how durable he's been and the kind of pain that he's been playing through this year. So he definitely scores some points for that.
Yeah, I think we went a little light on Burrow here, and I'll tell you why. Burrow holds the NFL record for the most times sacked in a single postseason. He was sacked 19 times in the playoffs last year, and it felt like it could have been more. Even in the Chiefs game last weekend, on the game-clinching throw on 3rd and 11, Burrow was half a second away from getting absolutely clobbered. And to his credit, he stands in the pocket like few others have ever stood in the pocket and takes punishment. But for me, that concerns me. There's always the lingering concussion risk and the other injuries that can be accompanied with being sacked, lower body injuries. I think Burrow maybe should be a little higher on injury risk, maybe a 2 or a 3 or something like that. And maybe Herbert, we were a little tough on him. A rib injury, a contact injury like that, that's not anything necessarily inherent to the QB. He does have a mobile play style, but I could see him adjusting that as his career advances. He's got the arm power, he's got the vision to ease into that type of game. So I honestly, in retrospect, I would put both of these guys at like a 3.
Herbert plays through it really impressively. I got to give him that. He had earlier this year the rib injury, and when it looked like he was going to miss time, he came back and you would see all the signs of a guy really fighting through it while playing, but then you would also at the same time the next play see him just uncork a superhuman throw while dealing with a rib injury that has to affect everything involving your throwing motion. We save the best for last, the cards. Now, we're going to obviously score them the same because they have the exact same cards from the 2020 product run. We scored them both a 9. So what's the difference here between a 9 and a 10?
I want Chris to kind of really dive into this because he's really the master of comparing cards across eras in a really elegant way.
All right. Well, let me try to take a stab at this. First of all, I don't think there's a huge distinction between a 9 and a 10. I'm just kind of looking at our core score here. The athletes that we've given 10s to on cards are Mahomes and Kobe so far. And maybe I was a little generous from Mahomes. Let me make the case for why they should be 9s, and then maybe within there we can figure out why they're not 10s. So if I go to CardLadder's sales history and I just type in parentheses, Burrow, Herbert, it's going to show me every Burrow and every Herbert card. And then if I just, that is sold. And then if I just sort it by price and I just start scrolling, all right, I see beautiful NT Shield 1-of-1s. I see Prism Black 1-of-1s. I see Flawless. I see Immaculate Shield 1-of-1s. A Joe Burrow Immaculate Shield 1-of-1 that sold for over $500,000.
You see Mosaic Sticker Auto PSA 9s.
We scroll down a little bit further. We see the Mosaic Red Sticker Auto. Or we see Contenders 1-of-1s. Just, NT, Flawless, Immaculate, Prism, Optic Contenders. This is, a what's what of the best football cards ever made, in my opinion, from a brand point of view. And then Panini also they always go the extra mile for football, in my opinion. It's just, they always get it right. They hit the nail on the head for football. Like one thing I love that Panini does for football, they limit the Prism 1 of 1 from the base set, so it's only the black 1 of 1. There's no Nebula, there's no Disco, there's no Huddle, Parallel. It's just the Prism Black Finite 1 of 1, and it's been that way since 2012. That continuity, that level of specificity and detail that they bring to football really makes Panini's football offering special. I guess one demerit that occurs to me here is that there's maybe too much. Maybe too much of a good thing actually takes the score from a 10 down to a 9, because it's still an abundance of great cards, but maybe there's just a few too many great cards, maybe a few too many great brands, maybe a few too many printed in the more retail-focused, retail-oriented products that just precludes it from being in that perfect 10. I think that's one of the reasons why we gave Mahomes a 10, was because the offering was still sufficiently limited while still featuring all the great Panini brands.
That's a sufficient breakdown of the difference between a 9 and 10 for card offerings. Now, on the heels of that, I want to ask the two of you. We had our hit draft, so you've got those in the bag already. I'm going to give you the mythical Limitless Wallet with the ability to acquire any card you want. Any card you want of Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow. Jack, start with you. What are you going and acquiring?
I mean, the obvious answer and the true answer is the Black Prism. You can't beat it. It's beautiful, especially in football with that really shiny mosaic-like effect. You really can't beat it. But to be a little bit more interesting, assuming that one's off limits, there was a pretty public, flashy sale of it recently. I'm going to go the 2020 Panini Contenders Optic 2000 throwback design and a PSA 10 Auto 10. Beautiful card. Fantastic hobby lineage. It's a nod throwback celebration of an iconic year for the set. Plus, it's got the optic, chromium, shiny appeal. On-card auto. Can't beat it. Stunning card. Absolutely on the wish list. Maybe one day.
Love that choice. I'm going in a similar direction. I'm going optic. When the big news was breaking about the Herbert Prism Black selling and the Herbert NT Shield selling for almost $2 million, those cards got all the headlines. But, Golden also in that same month sold the 2020 Optic Gold Vinyl 1 of 1 Justin Herbert in a PSA 8 slab. There's something beautiful about how the gold vinyl is a pseudo color match with the blue and yellow jersey that Herbert's wearing in the card. I love the pose. I just love the fact that this card flew under the radar while the other ones were creating all the fireworks, even though this card is just as beautiful. I think Optic Football is a tremendous product. And that's what I'm going with, boys. Optic Gold Vinyl 1 of 1 rookie year for Justin Herbert.
All right, Ryan.
Ooh.
What do you got? You're going Herbert or Burrow? I'm assuming you're going to go Herbert, knowing your sensibilities.
Herbert. I'm going Herbert. This is kind of going off the heels of the hit draft, mentioning why I chose what I chose with that number 3 pick. I just have really, really, really grown to love Flawless. And I want that Flawless, that true rookie auto. No patch, just the auto, the nice, white, clean on-card auto. I'd love it in a dual grade 10-10. I want a true Justin Herbert Flawless rookie auto. It's got that circle design in the middle with him in the white uniform. The Flawless rookie signatures, I think, are just some of the cleanest looking rookie cards you can find. They're tough to find in really nice grades, but the autos usually grade really well because I feel like players take their time with the Flawless cards. I feel like when they get it in hand and sign it, they really make it look nice. Herbert's looks phenomenal. That's my pick.
Love that choice. In these Flawless cards in a PSA case, like the nice new thick PSA cases, just feel so good in the hand. They present so well. You really can't beat that bold blue on-card auto on a premium product like Flawless. I love that choice.
All right, so now it's time to total it all up. So I'll preface it. We'll give our previous core scores of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. So we had Mahomes at an 8.8 overall. We had Josh Allen at an 8.36. So with our weighted scores, Joe Burrow comes out at a flat 8, and we've got Justin Herbert at 6.36. So what's your impressions when you hear that?
that the algorithm isn't perfect just yet. I mean, you would think that Herbert would be a little bit closer to Burrow. Burrow's prices have gone up very recently. Very recently, Herbert prices have gone down. They're a little more even than they used to be. Herbert was outpacing him pretty significantly for months and months and months. So Burrow's feels right. A little bit behind Josh Allen, but it still doesn't feel perfect. I'm not super happy with the Herbert score, but also I'm speaking as a Herbert collector, so maybe my feelings are just hurt.
Nah, you nailed it, man. At the end of the day, I think the gulf between Burrow and Herbert is not as large as the core score predicted here. An overall 88 versus a 70 is a pretty big gulf. These core scores, as always, are malleable, and things can change. Even in an NFL 17-game season, a few games can have an impact on the collectability of a developing player. So I think maybe we were a little tough on Herbert in this one, and maybe a little easy on Burrow. I think just even adjusting Burrow's injury score a bit and Herbert's, that might actually get it closer to a more realistic delta between the two.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Drop us a comment below. Leave it in the reviews. We want to know. We want to know the feedback. My general feeling when I saw the final scores was, we were probably a little tough on Justin Herbert. I don't think we were necessarily tough on him. We're maybe a little bit more realistic about, like Jack said, some of the situational things that have held him back a little early that have not held Joe Burrow back. But again, we can revisit these in the offseason because we don't know how these last couple months of the season are going to play out. Chargers are still alive in the playoff hunt. The Bengals are surging, but are they going to continue to surge? The algorithm is not perfect.
The algorithm might need to be advanced.
Yeah.
You know how IBM has IBM Watson? They're like, we're throwing it to IBM Watson, and they're predicting like you're going to lose your fantasy football match. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Do we need to do we need to have like an AI version of this, like PSA Corey? And he's got he's a little more accurate. You kind of fine tune it a little bit. Throw it over to them. I don't know.
All because we slided Justin Herbert.
Just an idea.
No, I don't
Just
disagree.
an idea.
I don't disagree. Well, once again, tell us what you think. We're going to be back with more later this week here on the PSA Pod. For Chris, for Jack, for producer Drew, I'm Ryan. We will talk to you again later.